It's Friday, January 17th.
We are really waiting for the the official proof that the deal is signed and we can go on. And on Sunday, we will see hostages here.
Deal on track. Israel's Security Cabinet meeting is meeting this morning before the ceasefire and hostage exchange agreement is officially signed.
When Nova Scotians are in crisis, they need to know where to turn for help.
Call to action. Advocates in Nova Scotia demanding the government do more about a rise in the number of intimate partner violence cases in the province. 6 people have been killed by their male partners since October.
If indeed the incoming administration moves forward with these unfair and unjust tariffs, Canada will respond.
Canada is finalizing its response to possible tariffs from the U.S., with President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration just 3 days away.
We have liftoff.
What goes up comes back down in a shower of debris. Yeah, a SpaceX launch didn't go exactly as planned. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Welcome to your morning, everybody. Anne-Marie's away today. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
Surprise! I'm Teddy Wilson. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah.
Teddy, great to have you
Good to
this
be here.
morning. I'm Kelsey McEwen. Again, happy Friday, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, glad you're with us today. Let's turn right to some of the top news stories we're following. And we're going to begin in the Middle East. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirming a Gaza ceasefire deal has been reached after a last-minute snag Thursday.
As one friend in Gaza said to me, happy, not happy. You know, we're so glad that the killing has stopped, and yet, you know, we have nothing left.
So Netanyahu meeting with his security cabinet in Jerusalem before the government will convene to approve that deal. If approved, the ceasefire would come into effect Sunday, halting the war in Gaza. There would also be an exchange of Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners. Hamas is still holding 94 hostages, though Israel believes only 60 of them are still alive. Meanwhile, Israel is expected to release about 1,000 Palestinian prisoners overall. Other stages of this deal include a permanent end to the war, the return of hostages' bodies, and the reconstruction of Gaza, which will take years. Ottawa is said to have a retaliation plan ready in case U.S. President-elect Donald Trump follows through on his tariff threats.
Bringing in tariffs on goods from Canada is basically raising prices on American consumers, is raising taxes on the backs of Americans.
So we're waiting to see what happens on Monday, that after President-elect Trump is inaugurated for his second term. If he signs off on those new tariffs, sources confirmed to CTV News, Ottawa will be ready to respond with the first round of counter tariffs. Some of the American goods targeted could include U.S. steel, ceramics, and Florida orange juice. Meanwhile, it's all hands on deck as Canada prepares for the new Trump administration. Prime Minister Trudeau will meet with his new Canada-U.S. Relations Council today. He also has a cabinet retreat scheduled for next week. CTV will have full coverage of the inauguration of Donald Trump on Monday, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern on CTV, CTV News Channel, and online at ctvnews.ca. Well, the race for the Liberal leadership is heating up, with former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney now officially in the running.
I've helped manage multiple crises, and I've helped save 2 economies. I know how business works, and I know how to make it work for you.
Carney launched his campaign in Edmonton, the city where he grew up, but he did not say if that's where he'll run for a seat. During the launch, Carney pitched himself as a new voice for the party with experience to navigate tough economic times. Looking ahead, former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland is expected to launch her leadership bid on Sunday. Liberal House Leader Karina Gould also expected to announce her run this weekend. And Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is promising that if elected, he'll reverse changes made to the capital gains taxes.
I will bring in, it's going to be called the Bring It Home tax cut. It will reduce taxes on work, investment, making stuff, building homes, and energy, so that we can bring home more powerful paychecks and production to Canada.
He's promising to get rid of the increase to the capital gains inclusion rate. The Liberals' legislation around this did not actually pass before Parliament was suspended last month. But the CRA is enforcing the changes anyway because they say it's standard practice for taxation proposals. In the 2024 budget, the Liberals had proposed an increase in the inclusion rate, which is the portion subject to taxation on the sale of capital gains, from 1/2 to 2/3. A coalition of women's groups is accusing Nova Scotia's government of maintaining a troubling silence in response to recent deadly incidents of intimate partner violence.
And these tragedies are not isolated incidents. They reflect a larger epidemic of intimate partner violence that we must confront together.
6 women in Nova Scotia have been killed by their male partners in just the last 3 months. The Transition House Association of Nova Scotia is calling for permanent core funding for case coordinators and administrative support. The group is also asking Premier Tim Houston to meet he says he's sure it will happen. Sadly, there's been a surge in what's being called an epidemic in Canada, with 112,000 incidents of intimate partner violence reported to the police over the course of just 1 year. Well, there's a polar vortex on the move. Snow and high winds, major problem for commuters in Alberta yesterday. This morning, there are advisories or warnings in effect in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and those warn of cold air, wind, and snow. All that cold air is expected to move east, plunging not just Canada, but much of North America into the cold. And that cold expected to hit Ontario over the weekend and Atlantic Canada by Tuesday and Wednesday. Of course, Kelsey will have all the details coming up in weather. So there's some positives and some negatives to take from a SpaceX launch Thursday.
Booster now hovering as it aligns with the tower for catch.
Booster coming in. Get ready for that boom, Kate.
Down to 3 engines.
Wow, so the positive, as you can see there, they were able to catch their super heavy booster after it helped launch the rocket. The rocket, on the other hand, though, failed in space just minutes after launching from Texas. Mission Control losing communications with it 8 minutes in after it separated from that booster. It made for some spectacular scenes with video of falling debris posted on social media from the Caribbean. David Lynch is being remembered at the diner where everyone loves a fine cup of joe.
David Lynch is regarded as one of the greatest directors of all time and one of the best American artists of the 20th century.
I agree. The Double R Diner was made famous by one of Lynch's most famous projects, of course, Twin Peaks. Lynch stood out in Hollywood for his unique voice and idiosyncratic vision. Some of his other famous works include Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive. His family confirmed his death yesterday in an online post, and David Lynch was 78 years old.